one that I and many, many, many people in the Silver Spring community, and later here in Israel, love and really consider to be a good friend. Let me just start. We know that the Gemara in Brachos tells us that the Avos were Misakeh 3 tefillas. Avraham Avinu was Misakeh the prayer of Shachris, and Yitzchak was Misakeh the prayer of Mincha, and Yaakov enacted the prayer of Arvit. Now there is a question here, because according to Halacha, Shachrit and Mincha are obligatory prayers. Mariv is technically optional, although it's become a minhag. And the question that's asked is, if indeed Mariv, Arvit, is the prayer of Yaakov Avinu, why should the prayer of Yaakov be inferior to the prayer of Avraham and Yitzchak? Avraham and Yitzchak's prayers are mandatory. Yaakov's prayer is optional. Why should that be so? And there's a beautiful thought that is expressed by Rav Tzadok of Lublin, one of the great Hasidic masters, in which he says that each tefillah represents a different emotional state in our relationship to God. The prayer of Shachrit, the prayer of the morning, is the prayer of hope and optimism. The person gets up in the morning, it's a new day, even if the previous day was difficult. The person always wakes up with a sense of hope, a sense of gratitude. That was the prayer of Avraham Avinu, who saw in his lifetime the realization of all of God's divine promises. He was respected, he was well regarded, he was called Nasi Elokim. At the age of 100, he merited to have a child, Yitzchak, and even Yishmael did tshuva. And we're told that even Esav, his grandson, did not become a public Rasha till after Avram died. Avram left the world, at least when he left the world with a sense of completion. It is true that his beloved Sarah left him, but people died. She was 127. They built a life together. They saw a future. They saw Nacharit v'tikva. And that is the emotional resonance of the Shachris prayer. Mincha, which ideally we pray before sunset, if you're not a chassid at least, but with the lengthening shadows of the evening, that represents the prayer of panic. Remember, Yitzchak Avinu is still in Eretz Yisrael. It's still daytime. The Galut has not begun yet. And yet, the 400 years of servitude and alienage are said to begin with the birth of Yitzchak, because there is this sense of impending doom. It's still daylight, but the night is beginning to come. The sun is already in the trees. And therefore, that represents the prayer of panic. Even mechanically, Mincha is a prayer of panic. Baruch Hashem in Yerushalayim, if you really got stuck, you could daven in the street. But those of us who are familiar with working environments in the States, there's always this problem, especially in the winter. Where do you go to daven Mincha if there's no Mincha minyan or the like? So Shachris, the emotional state, is one of gratitude and optimism. Mincha is the panic of asking Hashem to let me hold on to my opportunities a bit longer. Arvit is the prayer of the gloom of the night. Arvit is Yaakov Avinu's prayer when he's running away from the Esav who wants to kill him. He is leaving the holiness of the land of Israel. He thinks he will never see his father again, although indeed he will. He will never see his mother again. And he's leaving the physical threat of Esav, and he's going to even a greater spiritual threat of Lavan, of which he is quite aware. He is 63 years old. He has no wife yet. He has no children. He is not yet in the mood of Abraham, who can talk about the optimism and joy of life. And he's not even the Yitzchak that is begging to hold on to God's blessings. He is in the matzav of the person who has lost everything, who has hit rock bottom, who is in the middle of the darkness. And therefore, Rav Tzadok says the following: if Shachrit is the prayer of hope and optimism, and Mincha is the prayer of panic and begging Hashem to hold on, Mariv is the prayer of Emunah, faith. That when you have nothing else, when you have just darkness, it is the ability to be a ma'amin in the ultimate goodness of God, that God will give me a way out of my situation, even if I can't understand it rationally in any way. So Rav Tzadok says the following: gratitude and panic are mandatory because every person feels that. Yada shor koneu, the dog, the ox, knows the hand that feeds it. So Shacharit is mandatory. Mincha, that's the old saying, no atheists in foxholes. But Arvit, the optionality, if there is such a word, the optionality of Arvit is not because it's less important. but because it represents a madrega to which we must aspire, but it cannot yet be mandatory, because not all of us are capable. It is the prayer of Amunah. It is the prayer of seeing the light even in the darkness, of understanding that even when rationally I seem to hit rock bottom, I find reservoirs of strength and courage in the darkness. I see the light, not at the end of the tunnel, but even within the tunnel. Many, many ways, and again, it's true that I understand from David, and quite properly so, that the bulk of the discussion tonight will be focusing on the first 77 years. But we can't ignore that in the last 3 years there was indeed much, much darkness. And in many, many ways, the beautiful, buoyant, outgoing person that Neil Rav Nissen was something that became a little bit dormant, a little bit imperceptible. But even then, he was the catalyst of transformation that was able to develop within the wonderful, wonderful family, and Leah especially, reserves of faith and strength and courage. How many times did I read emails, the communal emails that Leah sent that just bowled me over with how she took a situation that would destroy the average person, and yet how she grew from it and how she gave strength and encouragement to all. This is the prayer of our Vit, and indeed the whole story of Hanukkah. This is the triumph of light in the middle of darkness. This is a message that's relevant to the whole world today, especially the Jewish people, especially in Eretz Yisrael, but as we contemplate the darkness in the world, whether it's assimilation or ignorance or Islamofascism or terrorism. And sometimes it looks that we're so engulfed in darkness that there is no hope. And Hanukkah is that beacon of light, just like our Vit is that beacon. But we can't forget that if the last years of Neil's life were years of Arvit, there were many, many years of Shachrit as well, of joy and gratitude and optimism. And Neil was a funny, intelligent, warm-hearted person. He had an incisive and sometimes sarcastic wit. The expression in English, but it doesn't quite work in Hebrew, is he had a wicked sense of humor, but wicked not in the sense, God forbid, of anything evil. But just he cut to the point very well. Although they lived in Camille, they did not live directly in our neighborhood, but for Yamim Noraim, for many, many years, the Israels came to our shul. And Neil was virtually a seatmate of mine. He had around 10 inches in back of me, and I have to say that even in the most solemn moments of the year, he managed to find something to smile about, and that's not all bad. That is not all bad. God wants us, even on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, to have a sense of joy of the day. And he was someone that always did that. He was someone who still maintained the wisecracking persona of the Brooklyn street kid. Was it Brooklyn? Yeah. And that never really left. That as successful as he was in the world, like his father and grandfather, there was something eternally youthful about him. I remember when he came to Israel, and I remember once Leah and Neil gave us a ride, my wife and I gave us a ride somewhere, and I still remember it really reminded me of the last time I was on a roller coaster. It was quite adventurous and youthful and exciting. And that really is the way the Israel family was, and Neil and Leah both. So, on one hand, why Neil suffered the way he did, why the family went through all that they went through, are mysteries that I frankly, no matter how many years I have been a rabbi, are things that I frankly cannot give an answer to. As I say, perhaps in God's mysterious plan, this was a catalyst to develop reserves of strength and courage that perhaps you didn't even know that you had, and you become transformed. But at the same time, there were so many years of shachrit, so many years of joy, so many years of goodness, so many years of sharing, that in many, many ways, all of life is a gift. And when life gets cut shorter than we wanted, and we kind of think, why didn't we have more? We also have to recognize that what Hashem gave us was something that was beyond that which we were entitled to. And for Hashem, he left behind a wonderful family, and he got to see nachas from his children and from his grandchildren. And I know that this will continue to be a source of nachas and aliyah to his neshama in Gan Eden. I'm sure he is making the malachim up there also laughing with various comments and the like, and he certainly has an honored place among the rabbis. So he Nafshe Baruch and he Nafshe Tzurura and Tzurura Chayim.
Thank you, Rabbi Greiwitz. Our next speaker is going to be one of his grandchildren, Adina Israel. Adina is his eldest granddaughter. My father has 3 children. For those who don't know, myself, my brother Ari, my sister Rachel. As much as he loved us, he definitely loved his grandchildren equally, if not more. It's a great pleasure to introduce Adina Israel, who had inherited, which I challenged myself to decide what you inherited from my father. And I think it's my father's grace. Please support that he's studying this year in Shelavim for Likud.
David, is that a microphone?
Yeah.
Use the microphone, please.
Dear Akiva, last week Abba was going through family albums looking for pictures of Zadie, and you were watching over his shoulder. As Abba was looking at pictures, you became very sad. Abba looked at you and said, Akiva, what's wrong? Do you miss Zadie? You answered, yes, Abba, I miss Zadie. And it's not fair. I'm the youngest, and I got to know him for the least amount of time. You're right, Akiva. You're only 6 years old, and it isn't fair that you didn't get to know our Zadie like the other children in our family did. We grew up with Zadie living just a few blocks from us. Akiva, every Sunday morning I would call Zadie to invite him to join us for brunch, and every Sunday morning I got the same response. No way. I don't have time for that. I'm not coming. Forget it. Then I would hang up and go wait by the door, because inevitably, 3 minutes later, every week, Zadie's car would pull up. We affectionately referred to him as Grumpy Zadie, because that's really who he was. He poked fun at almost everything and often complained, but the many people in this room who knew him know that beyond that bristly exterior was a very warm and loving person. There was not a minute any of us doubted how much he loved us. Zadie came to watch all of my soccer games, rain or shine. At the end of the game, we would all line up and give high fives to the other team. We'd say, good game, to each other. Sometimes, Akiva, we really didn't play a very good game. Sometimes our games were downright lousy. From the stands, Zadie would yell, why are you saying good game? That was a lousy game. That was a terrible game. Zadie came to watch all of our sitter parties, Chumash plays, and Rashi parties. On Grandparents' Day at school, he would come to visit our classrooms. Zadie did not come home from that day telling us how brilliant each one of us was and how wonderful our teachers were. Instead, he would tell us which moments were interesting and which were boring, which of the questions that we asked were worth asking and which were downright ridiculous. He would even tell us whether the tuna sandwich they offered him at the end of the day had too much mayonnaise. Akiva, our Zadie learned Torah every single day, and he took his Torah learning very seriously. Right now, I'm a little worried that he's looking down at me saying, Adina, you're learning in seminary this year. All that money for tuition, and you're not saying one word of Torah? He wouldn't be very happy with me, so here goes. The Gemara in Tanit tells the story of Rav Broka, who met Eliyahu and Avi. Rav Broka asked Eliyahu to point out to him the people around them who had already attained Olam Haba. Eliyahu pointed Rav Broka's attention to 2 men standing nearby. Rav Broka approached these people and asked them, who are you? What do you do? Ginshe B'duchayanan, they answered, we make people laugh. Akiva, by these standards, and many others, I know our Zadie is happily enjoying the company of other great people in Olam Haba. How do I know? Zadie valued Torah. He learned every day, finished Shas nearly 4 times, attended several shiurim every week, and even started to give a shiur at Shul after he retired. He never considered himself to be a particularly learned person, though. He was very humble. Akiva, Zadie loved his family intensely. This we always knew, and we always felt, even through the grumpy exterior. And yes, Akiva, our Zadie made us laugh. Akiva, behind that grumpy exterior, was our grandfather. He loved each of us with all his heart, and I miss him terribly. You're right, Akiva. It isn't fair that you didn't get to know Zadie as well as we did. Be you please, God, have the rest of your long life to learn to appreciate the values Zadie instilled in our family. You can learn to love the Torah like he did, to make people laugh like he did, and to love your family like he loved you. And Akiva, I do know how lucky I am to have had Zadie in my life.
Adina was talking about her brother, brother Akiva. My brother Ari has 6 wonderful children. Akiva the youngest, and Adina the oldest daughter. Thank you, Adina. Our next speaker is going to be Ariel Zlotkin. As you can guess from the last name, it's not in Israel. He's married to my sister Rachel. And one thing my father loved about Ariel, as Ariel reminded me, was that he had a chance to speak in Hebrew with Ariel. Ariel was originally born in Russia, Ukraine. To me, that's right. And, he's actually going to be going back to Ukraine now for his work. My sister Ariel is here in Prague. Ariel?
Son-in-law. His son-in-law.
And Ariel's going to speak in Hebrew.
It's actually almost ironic that it was Leah's idea. I know. It was Leah's idea that I should speak in Hebrew. And in this occasion, I'm going to speak in behalf of my wife Rachel, who spoke about Neil, and I would say with Neil, all this past year, in many occasions in Uruguay, here. But I guess tonight she felt a bit overwhelmed, and that's why I'm representing her as well. בשבת עברה מחשבה בראש שלי שחשבתי לחלוק איתכם לעילוי נשמתו של ניל. כולם מכירים את המחלוקת בין שמאי להלל לגבי סדר הדלקת נרות חנוכה. וידוע שהמחלוקת הזאת מעבר לסדר הטכני של הדלקת נרות משקפת גם 2 דרכים של התמודדות של עם ישראל בימי החנוכה. מצד אחד, בני ישראל נלחמו מול הרע, מול ההתייוונות, ניסו לבאר את הרע מקרבם, ומצד שני, כאומר במשפט, ובאו בניך לדביר ביתך וכולי, ותיארו את מקדשיך והדליקו נרות בחצרות קודשך. זאת אומרת, פעילות דרך אור, דרך הערה, דרך נרות. מצד אחד יש לנו התמודדות דרך אש, ומצד שני התמודדות דרך אור. וכידוע הלכה כבית הלל מוסיף והולך. אז השבת חשבתי שבדיני אבלות יש לנו תהליך הפוך. יש את יום הפטירה, את התקופה של אונן, אחר כך לוויה, 7, 30 שנה, והמצב הוא הפוך, באמת פוחת או הולך. למרות שהשבת בפרשת וישב קראנו שנגזרה גזרה על המת להשתכח מן הלב, אבל השאיפה של כולנו היא לזכור את הנפטרים, לזכור את היקרים לנו, ואני חושב שגם השאיפה של חז"ל הייתה לזכור את ימי החנוכה, ולכן בחרו סדר המתאים ביותר לזכור את ימי החנוכה. כי אני חושב שיש הבדל בין בניית זיכרון כללי, זיכרון קולקטיבי, לבין בניית זיכרון אישי. בזיכרון כללי של כל האומה אנחנו שמים נר, ועוד נר, ועוד נר, בשלבים עד שאנחנו זוכים להגיע לאיזושהי הערה כללית, לאור הכללי, שכל האומה תזכור את אירועי העבר שהיו בימים ההם, אבל משקיפים בוודאי גם על זמן הזה. ומצד שני, הזיכרון האישי, אנחנו חייבים להתחיל מהאש, הצפה, להציף את עצמנו בזיכרון, לכרות על הלב שלנו את הזיכרון הזה, כדי שלא יקרה שהנפטר היקר ישתכח מן הלב, כדי שהנר של הנפטר ימשיך להדליק. ולכן אנחנו אומרים לעילוי נשמתו, לא כסתם משפט, אלא באמת אנחנו מאמינים שהנשמה של היקר לנו עולה כל פעם שאנחנו עושים דברים לזכרו ולעילוי נשמתו. הרבה כאן דיברו וידברו על ניל ועל המידות שלו. אני הכרתי את ניל הכי מעט שנים מטבע הדברים, ורק אני רוצה אנקדוטה אחת לשתף אתכם, שרחל וניל היה להם מנהג כזה, אני לא חושב שהם המציאו אותו. כל פעם שהיינו נפרדים בשדה התעופה, שניהם היו מזילים דמעה, שניהם היו ככה בוכים קצת, גם ניל וגם רחל. עברה שנה מאז הפרידה הפיזית האחרונה ביניהם, ולמעשה כל החיים שלנו מורכבים מפרידות ופגישות, וכבר עכשיו הגיע היום הזה שהוא יום פגישה עם אבא של רחל, והוא גם יום הפרידה. וכבר עכשיו עוד יעברו כמה שנים ורחל תתחיל להזיל דמעה כל פעם שאחד הילדים שלנו נוסע לטיול, יוצא, כי החיים ממשיכים. ואני חושב שהמשפט של גמרא בשבת אומרת שנר חנוכה זמנה מי שתשקע החמה. המשפט הזה רוצה להדגיש שהאור הזה של נר חנוכה נחוץ בדיוק בזמן שהחמה שוקעת. ניל אהב וורטים, אז גם חשבתי חמה, חם, פאדינלו, לקשר שכשהחמה שוקעת, אז גם זה איכשהו אפשר לחבר, אבל אני חושב שזה הזמן, וזה מאוד סימבולי שעכשיו, כשהחמה, כמו שהרב גם התייחס, שקעה לאט לאט, אז אנחנו מדליקים עוד מעט, עוד פחות מ-24 שעות, מדליקים נרות חנוכה כדי להאיר את העולם, וכדי להוסיף קצת אור על הנשמה המאירה של ניל, זיכרונו לברכה, ועל זה אמר הרב קוק זצ"ל, כשהנשמה מאירה, גם שמיים עוטי ערפל מפיקים אור נעים, וניל נשמתו האיתה ועודנה מאירה את העולם. תהיה נשמתו צורה בצורת חיים.